They died almost 2 years ago, they and at least 500,000 others. It was supposed to be Rwanda's final solution, the total elimination of the Tutsis, and it failed completely. There are more Tutsis now in Rwanda than there were before the genocide began. St. Michael's Cathedral, Kigali. It's Saturday afternoon, wedding day. 7 brides and 7 grooms are taking their vows together. It's an affirmation of faith in their own future and in their countries, a country which many of them have never lived in before. A generation ago, their families were the aristocracy of Rwanda, a privileged caste under Belgian overlords. Then the Belgians left, and tens of thousands of Tutsis were killed or driven into exile by a bloody Hutu uprising. Now, with their own kind once again in power, they are flooding back from all over the world.
I had never been to my country, and it was a very exciting idea to come back home and join the others in reconstructing the country after the unfortunate events of 1994.
Aimable Rumongi already has a successful conference management business based in Nairobi. In Kigali, he's opened a new venture for the new arrivals.
We had a lot of faith in the new government. After the RPF intervened and stopped the genocide, we knew that there was no turning point. So we believed, and we still do believe, that the atmosphere here for both political, economic and social development is, the possibilities are enormous, and we didn't think there was any big risk. And as you know, a businessman must always take risks. The bigger the risks, the bigger the success.
Jonas Twagirayesu is taking a big risk too today. He's decided to go home. It takes him about 10 minutes to dismantle the shelter in which he, his wife and 4 children have lived for 18 months. Jonas is one of 40,000 people in Magara camp on the northern border of Burundi. The vast majority are Hutus who fled in 1994. Some took part in the genocide, many did not. But all were terrified that the victorious rebel army of the Tutsi-dominated Rwandan Patriotic Front would take revenge on them.
Jewe nuko numvise ko hari umutekano ari ku bushake bwanjye nshaka gutaha. Nagiye n'amaguru ngera nyine iwacu aho nari ntuye mbona ari hazima.
Jonas is exceptional. His village is just across the border, close enough for a furtive reconnaissance on foot. But most of the others who board the UN trucks are old men, women and children.
Beaucoup de gens n'ont pas les mêmes problèmes, il y a des gens qui rentrent parce qu'ils se sentent plus ou moins sécurisés que d'autres. Alors, d'autres qui restent, c'est à cause des problèmes qui sont encore dans le pays. Donc, le problème que je peux énumérer, c'est le problème, par exemple, de l'insécurité, de l'injustice, comme je l'ai dit, la calomnie. Donc, les gens ne se sentent pas sécurisés souvent quand ils rentrent.
Even amongst the returnees, there's no sense of rejoicing. The atmosphere in the trucks is one of apprehension. They're simple people, accustomed to obeying their leaders. And their leaders have been telling them that anyone who returns to Rwanda risks arbitrary imprisonment or sudden death. And this is the man they've been taught to fear most.
Morning.
The victorious warlord of the Rwandan Patriotic Army, the RPA, and now vice president of the new Rwanda. Major General Paul Kagame insists that persuading the refugees to return is his government's first priority.
Well, first of all, it's their right to come back to their country. We recognize the right of every citizen of Rwanda to be able to come to Rwanda, to live in Rwanda. That aside, if anyone has committed a crime, still he should be held accountable in Rwanda. But that doesn't deprive anybody of his right as a citizen of this country. This is why we want them back. We want to solve the problem of refugees. It's not a problem we have created. It's not a problem we would want to create. It's a problem we would like to solve. We don't expect the refugees to stay back until Rwanda turns into a paradise. I think they should come back and be part of the solutions that will be found for these problems.
At the border between Burundi and Rwanda, the refugees run their first gauntlet. It's Jonas's first encounter with the Tutsi-dominated army he fled from. In front of our camera, they behave well enough. But undoubtedly some soldiers, returning from exile to find their entire families slaughtered, have taken revenge into their own hands. And according to some, the killings of Hutu by the RPA have gone much further than that.
What I'm talking about is really different pattern altogether of killings, where citizens of Rwanda get killed by army or sections of the army under command.
Seth Sendashonga is a damaging critic. Until last August, he was Minister of the Interior in the present Rwandan government. I interviewed him in a hotel room in Nairobi, Kenya, the city where he now lives. He claims that he resigned from the government in despair.
The incidents of such killings have become so many, and I had written over 700 letters to General Kagame trying to stop the situation from worsening, and when I didn't get any positive answer to the problem, then I felt that I had no more role to play in that kind of government.
Mr. Sendashonga is not the only Hutu to have left the government recently. But General Kagame is unapologetic.
First of all, they did not resign. Those officials you're talking about did not resign. They were sacked. They were sacked because their conduct in the administration was not compatible with the government intention and programs. We had to build national unity, to carry out a process of reconciliation. They had their own problems, and because of this, it was a consensus in the government that they have to be replaced. It was endorsed by the parliament. So this was really something that was of their own problem. Of course, given this situation where they were sacked, these are men who are not happy, who had a grudge now against the government that had sacked them, so they had to go around creating all sorts of stories.
Rwanda calls itself the land of 1,000 hills. What goes on in its 1,000 secret valleys is hard to determine. But if any outside organization can claim to know what's happening here, it's the UN Commission for Human Rights.
We are here, as far as our mandate, to look into every allegation of a human rights violation. When Mr. Sendashonga was minister, we worked with him, we worked with other ministers, as we do today. Anytime they bring an allegation to us, we have to investigate it. So anytime he's ever said something when he was a minister, or even now, if information comes to us from anywhere, that's our job, we look into it. Are revenge killings going on? Yeah, revenge killings have certainly happened in this country. But they've happened on a scale which is, as far as what our information shows, less than what some allegations have tried to prove.
There are no red carpets, no cheering throngs to welcome Jonas and his family home. Kigembe commune in southern Rwanda saw some of the worst excesses of the genocide. Many of those who used to live here are still in the camps. Others, tens of thousands of them, lie buried in mass graves. The real anxiety for returning refugees is not that vengeful soldiers will shoot them out of hand. It's that friends and neighbors, survivors of the genocide, may accuse them of complicity. It can happen in the hour of their arrival or in the days ahead. And those accused are likely to join the 60,000 detainees already cramming Rwanda's prisons. In May last year, it was probably the worst prison in the world. 8,000 men were crowded into a space designed for 1,000. One of them was Peter Betsetsa. 9 months later, he's still there.
No, it's okay. Things have improved a bit, you see.
A new extension to the prison has tripled the available space, and there are fewer prisoners than before. There's enough food to eat. There's even room to lie down. But still, hardly any of these men have had formal charges laid against them.
I'm here since August of 1994. I have 1 year and 3 months now. I've been taken by soldiers of RPF, and I don't know for what I'm accused.
Even if the judges and prosecutors could be found, to try all these people for murder would take decades. And if the refugees ever return en masse, there will be tens of thousands more accused. The government is urgently looking for ways to speed up the process, to allow all but the most guilty to resume their lives. But it can't afford to alienate its own supporters. Aimable Rumongi and his friends are sophisticated people, but even they would find it hard to accept if people involved in the massacres are allowed to go free.
When all these 1 million people are being butchered in cold blood.
Jean-Marie returned from exile to find that his entire family had been murdered.
If I see someone who killed one of my relatives, how can I forgive him? How can I forgive him? It's impossible. So that's why I'm telling you, I'll leave it to the justice. If I kill him, I'll be genocide also.
It's easy to despair in a country like Rwanda. When Jonas finally reached home, he found his fields infested with weeds, his house in ruins, and his livestock gone.
Birambabaje ariko kuzashaka uburyo nyine nakubaka indi.
At least Jonas and Paskazi have undisputed possession of their house and fields. Many refugees return from the camps to find strangers, Tutsi newcomers, living on their land. In Kigali, a whole new business class is moving in. Their signboards, in English, the language of the newcomers, are springing up everywhere. So what will happen if and when the former Hutu business people come back to town? Aimable and his friends insist that there'll be room for everyone.
Anyone can come and open up a business. It's open for everybody, and you compete.
And they know the market. They've been here. We are new. We are learning. So I think they shouldn't really worry about us. In fact, we are going to learn from each other, and I think it's going to be a very interesting symbiosis, of ideas and experiences. If they do accept to stay with us, which they'll have to do inevitably, they'll have no choice. Yes.
Jonas has humbler ambitions.
Guhinga ntabwo bizangora kuko niko kazi narimenyereye. Mfite isuka ndakora.
Within a month, Jonas told us, his banana plants will be clear of weeds. Uprooting the bigotries and hatreds that infest a land where 1 million skeletons are buried will be a tougher job. Rwanda's returning exiles Whether they've been gone for 2 years or for 20, we'll have to tackle it together, or the seeds will surely sprout again.